Joining me now is White House Chief of Staff Ron Klain. Thank you so much for joining me this morning. So first want to ask about COVID and specifically the White House plans that you announced last month to begin offering booster shots to all vaccinated adults beginning September 20th. But CNN and other news organizations are reporting that top health officials warned the White House this week that they need more time to review all the necessary data before they can recommend boosters for all adults. You all know President Biden promised to always follow the science, but in this case, did he get ahead of the science by setting that specific date for boosters before all the data was in?
No, Dan, I think what we said was that we would be ready as of the 20th, which was the projection we were given from the senior science team as to when the FDA would clear the boosters. I want to be absolutely clear. No one's going to get boosters until the FDA says they're approved, until the CDC Advisory Committee makes a recommendation. What we want to do, though, is be ready as soon as that comes. You know, the country lived through a disaster in December when the FDA approved the vaccinations for the first time, but the administration had no plan to have enough vaccine on hand and to distribute it. So the most important thing we can do here at the White House, what our COVID response team can do, is to make sure that we have bought the boosters, and we have, and that we have a distribution plan so that as soon as the regulators, the scientists say, good to go, here's who needs them, here's what's approved, they will be available probably this very same day that that approval gets given.
CNN is told that some FDA officials weren't on board with the White House putting out that specific date on when people should expect booster shots, and two top officials at the FDA have stepped down. Did anyone at the FDA raise concerns with you or others there about putting that date on this rollout?
Dan, not that I'm aware of, but what I will say is the president was very clear when he announced it that it would be subject to FDA and CDC Advisory Committee approval. So we've been very clear from the start that no one's going to get those booster shots till the FDA says yes, till the CDC Advisory Committee and ultimately the CDC director says yes. Officials from both CDC and FDA were involved in setting that week of September 20 target date. That still is, we still are hopeful that at least one of the vaccinations could be available that date. Again, I think what the American people want to know is that rather than being lackadaisical about this, we are ready to go as soon as the approval for the boosters comes from the FDA and from the CDC.
So just to clarify, because there's a lot of interest in this, as you know, who will get it and when? And well, again, when will you, and how will you make that decision? Will you 100% follow the science?
100%. We will wait for FDA approval. We will wait for CDC approval. They will decide which of the vaccines are approved to be used as boosters. They will decide when that approval comes. They will decide who will get it under those approvals. Those are decisions made by FDA and CDC. As I said before, what we have done is purchase the boosters so we are ready, so we don't see this horrible spectacle we saw in December where vaccines were approved, but you couldn't get them. You didn't know where to get them. We didn't have the supply. We hadn't purchased enough vaccines for every American to be vaccinated back in December. We're ready to go once the science says go.
So I want to move on. I just want to clarify. It sounds like what you're saying is it is possible that September 20th, that week will come, and the boosters might not be ready to be approved.
Dana, let's not play games about this. So what I'm saying is we will go when the FDA and the CDC say go. I think the reports out of both agencies are that at least some of the boosters for some people will be ready that week, but we are going to go whenever they say go.
Got it. Okay, let's talk about unemployment benefits. At least 7.5 million Americans are going to lose expanded unemployment benefits when that program expires tomorrow. President Biden says the states can use their leftover stimulus funds to extend benefits on their own. But according to the Washington Post, no states actually have indicated that they plan to do so. The Delta variant is wreaking havoc on the economy still. So why did the president make a decision to just let these benefits expire and not push to extend them again?
Well, Dana, the Congress, when they passed these benefits, set this as the expiration date. Right. And I would say the Delta variant is having an impact on the economy, but not so much on employment. We're at the lowest unemployment rate we have seen in this country in a year and a half. 5.2%. We've added jobs every single month we've been here. And so the states were given money as part of the rescue plan back in March to deal with the consequences of any economic dislocation due to COVID. States are using that money in different ways. One of those ways is employment bonuses, paying people to take jobs. Other states are providing employment training, employment counseling. So these benefits expire under law this coming week. And we think that the states have the tools they need to help people move from unemployment to employment. Particularly, by the way, we have more unfilled jobs in this country than at any time on the record of measuring unfilled jobs. So we think the jobs are there, and we think the states have the resources they need to move people from unemployment to employment.
Ron, let's turn to Afghanistan. More than 100 American citizens were left behind when the last military flight left Kabul earlier this week. What is their status right now? Have any gotten out, and how many are still there?
We believe it's around 100. We're in touch with all of them who we've identified on a regular basis. Obviously, we're hopeful that in the coming days, the Qataris will be able to resume air service out of Kabul. And if they do, we're obviously going to look to see if Americans can be part of those flights. We are going to find ways to get them, the ones that want to leave, to get them out of Afghanistan. We know many of them have family members, many of them want to stay, but the ones that want to leave, we're going to get them out. As the president said, what happened on August 31st is we transitioned from a military mission to a diplomatic mission to get the remaining Americans and the Afghan allies, the so-called SIVs, out of the country, and we continue to work on that.
And on those so-called SIVs, the question is whether or not you're hearing what we believe are credible reports about the Taliban systematically hunting them down, many of them, and killing them. Have you heard about that, and what is the administration doing about it?
Dana, there are all kinds of reports coming in. We're in close communication with our sources and our contacts in Afghanistan to try to get those SIVs out, to get them out safely. I know that some are coming out by land. We are, again, continuing to work on efforts to get them out by air as well. We're going to continue to move those SIVs out of the country. What I will say is, as everyone knows, we launched a historic airlift that brought 124,000 people out of Afghanistan, American citizens, legal permanent residents of this country, residents of other countries, and a lot of Afghan nationals. And we are going to get those people. We've gotten those people to safety. We're ultimately going to resettle them in Europe and the United States. And that's a big part of rescuing that SIV population.
I want to ask about infrastructure. I know you saw West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin's op-ed this week saying he does not support the $3.5 trillion reconciliation plan, which includes a lot of the Biden agenda right now, including measures to combat the climate crisis. So without Manchin's support, it's a 50-50 Senate, it's dead. So how do you fix this?
Dan, if I had a nickel for every time someone's told me this package has been dead, I would be a very, very rich person. It was dead back in May when there was initial opposition to it. It was dead in June, the day the president went to Europe. It was dead in July again. All I've heard is how this package is going to be dead. And yet, amazingly, it continues to advance. The bipartisan infrastructure plan passed the U.S. Senate, and the House adopted a rule for its ultimate passage later in September.
But this is very specific.
And the reconciliation bill, the reconciliation bill, both the House and Senate have adopted the budget structure to pass it, and the House is now in committee markups this week and next week.
How are you going to convince Joe Manchin?
We're going to continue. We've worked with Senator Manchin at every step of the way. He's been a partner of our administration. He has strong views. Others have views. We're going to work together to find a way to put together a package that can pass the House, that can pass the Senate, that can be put on the president's desk and signed into law.
Is he convincible? I mean, you read that. He's very specific, saying that he's worried that that price tag or even something close to that is too difficult to pass because of the debt and even because of inflation. Is that something that's movable?
I think that's why he's very persuadable, because, of course, this package adds nothing to the debt. Nothing to the debt. It is fully paid for by raising taxes on wealthy people. We've had people become billionaires during the pandemic. They should pay their fair share of taxes. We've had 55 big corporations pay nothing in taxes, though they have record profits. If we raise taxes on the big corporations who aren't paying, raise taxes on people using international loopholes, raise taxes on the wealthy who are not paying their fair share, we can pay for every one of those investments in the package without a penny of taxes on people making under $400,000 a year, and without a penny being added to the long-term federal debt. In fact, passing these tax changes, making the people who aren't paying pay their fair share, collecting taxes from people who owe them and are dodging taxes by using loopholes, using lawyers and accountants, collecting those taxes will make our tax system fairer, make middle-class people share less of the burden, and can help bring down our debt in the long run. So I think Senator Manchin's concerns about inflation, about debts, those are concerns we can address with the provisions of this package itself.
Ron, before I let you go, I have to ask about the Supreme Court declining to block a Texas law which bans all abortion after 6 weeks of pregnancy and effectively deputizes private citizens to enforce it. I know the president is directing federal agencies to look into ways to address this, but this is the law of the land right now. There are women who are scared and don't know what to do in Texas. You know the law better than most people I know in this country. Is the reality that there isn't a whole lot the administration can do right now to change things in Texas?
Dana, I hope that's not the reality. We have the best lawyers at the Justice Department looking for legal remedies to protect women who are seeking to exercise their constitutional rights. We have the team at HHS looking at what means we can do to try to get women the health care services they need in the face of this Texas law. And we have the Gender Policy Council here at the White House, the first time a president's ever had a policy council devoted to gender issues, coordinating all this work to bring options forward for the president and the vice president.
So you think it's possible that you think it's possible that you can do something at a federal level?
We are going to find ways, if they're at all possible, and I think they are possible, we're going to find ways to make a difference for the women of Texas to try to protect their constitutional rights. Yes.
Ron Klain, thank you so much for joining me this morning. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Dana.